Hey, Hare Krishna.
Hare
So we are
Krishna.
live today we're live on Facebook, YouTube, and very shortly on Instagram. So welcome to everyone. आप सबका स्वागत है आज के conversation में. आज हमारे खास friend Ananda Monet के साथ हैं हम. Here with my dear friend Ananda Monet, who is a wonderful musician, a kirtaniya, a mother of two, a wife, among many other things. And she is here with us to share her story about how she came to Krishna consciousness. I'm going to have to add this on to Insta for a minute. Please welcome everyone. And while I do that on Insta, I'm going to share with you a beautiful song that Ananda sang. Just enjoy this while I add our live stream to Insta. This is Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, sung by Ananda. Oh, I love this song so much. All right, let's go live on Insta while we're listening to this. Hi, everyone. I'm just going to repeat this. Welcome to our conversation today, where we are live on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube today with our dear friend Ananda Monet. We're just going to add her on here. Welcome. Hare Krishna to everyone. Go live with Ananda Monet. There we go. This is my first time doing this, so please bear with me. There we go. How do I add you? There you are. Hi, Ananda.
Hey, nice to see you.
Nice to see you. Sorry, we're trying to juggle a few different views here. So,
Yes, do let us know, guys, how the sound is, please, because we're experimenting as well.
Yes. I'm gonna have to turn down the volume because. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, my wonderful friend Ananda Monet, she is a beautiful kirtaniya, musician, mother, and just a beautiful person overall, a bhakti yoga practitioner. And today we're going to find out all about her life story and how she came to Krishna and what it means to her in practice, in daily life. So I've been sharing a song on Facebook. We're live in both places that she sang. I'm just going to pause that there and start with. Bear with me here. All right. So I hope you all enjoyed that on Facebook. Sorry, Insta, you couldn't see that. It was a beautiful song, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, sung by Ananda Monet for the wonderful album Mantra Lounge 2, which we'll talk about later, about all the different ways that we do kirtan and share kirtan regularly. That's big part of Ananda's life. So let's start. Welcome, Ananda.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to be sharing this with you today. She's such a close friend of ours for so long and been such an important part of our spiritual journey together. And we're also considered second generation, Krishna bhakti practitioners. So our parents joined the movement as such, and they passed it on to us. And it's a very unique experience, right? Where, because we were raised with it, our outlook and the way we now practice it is, I would say, such a blessing, and it's quite a unique situation for us. So I'm so excited to share this conversation with Ananda, because we kind of had, in our very different ways, had similar experiences. So
And we
Why don't
always
we
have
start?
good conversations, so I'm really looking forward to it.
Yes, absolutely. It's always good, can go on endlessly. So today, please, let's start from the beginning, and then let's share how it all began for you in Russia. You were born and raised there, and you were born in USSR and back in the day in the Soviet times,
Yes.
and your parents joined right at the end. You were mentioning
Yeah.
how, and if you want to just start off with that story of how your parents got attracted to Krishna and the
Yeah.
idea of bhakti. Um,
Yes. I think probably every person comes to a point where they start asking questions of who am I? Why am I here? Where am I going after my death? And I remember my
yes,
mom always telling me that when she was little, when she was growing up, she always had this burning question: what will happen to me after I die? She was really scared of this idea of dying, and kind of always had these questions, right? And then she had a very surreal experience around my birth, and she had a surgery that almost kind of killed her. So all those experiences were
Krishna.
already very, very deep. Were pushing her to search very deep and to search for deep questions, answers for her questions. And
Yeah.
my dad was always searching for like um, what's out there. And in those times in the Soviets, all the kind of books and literature, even Beatles recordings were not allowed. So everything was
Yes.
underground.
Communist era for
Everything was
sure.
underground. It was on the black market somewhere. You pass a book around, and then everybody reads that same book, makes copies by
Wow.
hand or whatever. So he was always kind of reading different books on
This
Indian
is your father,
theology. My father, yes, on
right?
Indian theology, on yoga. He started to become a vegetarian a little bit here and there, like looking into it and stuff like that. And they were musicians, so they were also living in that environment that was naturally seekers and naturally were looking for some new things
Something
and
more,
for
something
something
deeper.
more. Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
And so in that way, they were kind of already seeking. And one day somewhere on the street, they got a book. They met a devotee, a bhakti devotee that just handed them a Gita, Bhagavad
Wow.
Gita.
Wow.
And from there, it just all clicked into places for both of them, especially for my dad, because he's like, I've already heard about this from all these different sources, and I was looking for it. And yes, we are becoming vegetarian from tomorrow, from today. Immediately, he
That's
brought it all
amazing.
home, and kind of like our life is changing. I was probably about six and a half, and then by seven, we moved to Moscow from our little town, and
Wow.
I went to a school. I went to a Gurukul, which was
Wow.
Moscow Bhakti.
Can I just mention here how
Yeah.
incredible this whole transformation sounds? Because we get sometimes made fun of that. Oh, you're always out on the streets giving out books and banging on your drums, and
No, yeah, it's
but like when you hear the story of how it can completely transform uh, so many lives by just picking up a single book,
yeah,
you realize the importance of that sacrifice of going out and giving when you're experiencing
exactly.
something, you feel the need to give. And that was actually the whole mood of Srila Prabhupada. He understood the importance of what we need and what we're missing in our life.
Yeah,
And that's such a huge part of the bhakti culture, is to share the wealth, right?
yeah,
Share that love. There's no point in
absolutely.
just having it all by yourself. So I just love the story that you're saying in such crazy times,
Yeah,
such restrictive times, two souls come together and they just want to, um, you know, find a different expression of love. And just to me, that's what it sounds like. They're already
and
such
find
expressive.
knowledge as well. They're desperate for knowledge, but it's all restricted. You can't really find it anywhere. And then by the
Exactly.
mercy of Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, who has kind of imbibed the
The
spirit
mood.
in the movement, the spirit of sharing,
Right.
this mood of we have to go out and share. We cannot keep it to ourselves. We have to go out
Right.
constantly
Right.
share
I
and
just
give it to as
love
many
that.
people as are willing to take it.
Yes.
So they were the receivers of that grace, of that mercy, that they could
I love. Right.
stumble upon it on the street so
And to
randomly
whoever
and
that
change
person is who gave that book to your parents, I want to give my huge thanks, because
it.
in
Yeah,
return, I get you in my life as a friend and a fellow Kirtaniya, because it can really transform the world. We don't know where that love that we pass on will go to. We don't know where
yeah,
it's going to reach and the long-term effects of it. I remember just really briefly Shonaka Prabhu saying that, when you sow an oak seed, we don't
yeah,
get to enjoy the benefit of it, not in our lifetime. The oak
right.
tree takes so long to
Yes,
mature and flourish, and for the real benefit to be experienced, it's a few generations later. And I just found
exactly.
that bhakti is so much like that, that when we
Yeah,
give ourselves, when we give our love, it's not the immediate, you do feel the relief for sure, but it just exponentially keeps increasing the benefit
yeah,
of a spiritual practice, that you see it in one generation and then the next generation. And I just
that's right.
love that story, because go on before I cut you off again. Then what happened after your parents totally their lives transformed in the Soviet
Yeah.
times? Then what happened?
Yes. Yeah. So they were transforming their life and everyone, all the lives of everyone around them. So obviously, their parents had to now start to become
Except
vegetarian, and then also myself, and then we moved to Moscow, and they immediately sent me to the school. So how they introduced me to Krishna, is they showed me a picture of Sri Panchatattva,
right,
which is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda,
Nityananda, the five
Advaita, Gadadhar, and
five
uh,
tattvas that come together.
yes,
We give yes, we give a lot of
yes,
importance to them, because they are guides. In recent times, given given access to all of us to that's basically the role of Panchatattva, so that we can actually dive very deep into this process of bhakti. Go on. So you
exactly.
saw them.
It's really funny, but I've just got a random visitor came into my living room, a little dog from my neighbor, so I might have to deal with that in a minute.
You want some
Uh,
more of this? Oh,
yeah, so we kind of started to they showed me that picture and they said, okay, where do you think God is in this picture? And
right.
I was thinking, at the time, I wasn't familiar with any of those concepts, and I was only like 6.5 or something. So,
Right.
so I was like, maybe this one with a beard, pointing at Advaita Acharya.
Yeah,
And
we think God should be old. He's probably a really old
exactly,
person.
old and wise and looking all serious.
Yeah,
And she's like, no, actually, it's this one looking very young and beautiful. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Like, that's a new
right. Chaitanya
concept. I was like, wow.
Mahaprabhu was right. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very young and effulgent and vibrant and just absolutely, yeah,
Yeah,
the
exactly.
beautiful
Sorry,
form
my
of the
phone.
Lord. That's okay.
Yeah. And so then she said, okay, we'll take you to a school that will teach you all about this beautiful, beautiful
God,
God.
right.
And I was like, awesome, okay, great. And Russia at the time was going through this huge change when the Iron Curtain just fell down, just
So
came down, and
everyone's like relieved and expressing themselves, and I can imagine.
yes, and so we finally were allowed basic freedoms like freedom of faith, freedom of
Wow.
religion, freedom of speech, and things like that. They started to become um, a concept in our mind that we could actually that we could
Right.
actually
Like
think about. Before it wasn't even spoken about. Like
right. Right.
the devotees, Krishna devotees before that, were persecuted and put in prisons and
Crazy story.
put
Yeah.
in mental institutions, tortured. It was pretty horrible times. So now that was the time when it was all changing suddenly, and we were actually starting to be allowed. It was still unknown grounds,
Right. Like,
but
are we really allowed, or are we gonna, yeah, something gonna come?
exactly. So we opened the school, and we weren't sure if that school will be we'll be able to survive, if it'll be allowed, if do we need to hide, or are we allowed to be like open and come
Right.
out on the street and things like that. So those were really uncertain times, at the same time very exciting times for somebody who has been really wanting to practice something that's not been allowed or whatever, right? Or been
Right.
banned. So yeah, so I started going to that school, and it wasn't underground as such, but it was very small, private school, very
Like a
like,
guru school, like a proper, yeah, in
yeah. So we were learning all the subjects of kind of bhakti
amazing.
philosophy. We were studying Bhagavad Gita. We were reading Srimad Bhagavatam in the
Wow.
mornings. We had kirtan in the morning,
This is
chanting together, all the little kids.
what a
We
blessing
we were
and
learning
incredible. And
learning
you
all
were
the
right.
stuff about Krishna.
Oh, that's incredible. So this was you at the age of 6, you said,
Seven,
roughly
seven. By the
7.
time I went to school, it was 7. Yeah.
Right. Okay. And then I remember you mentioning that then the school moved all of a sudden, and then you then had to take a public transport to get there for like 2 hours or something amazing like that. That you really had to travel
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
pursue that the education
Well,
and your
kudos
parents.
to my parents again for searching for something deeper, for finding and pursuing it, and really kind
Right.
of following it even in such difficult times. But also, my mom really believed that I had to go to that school and learn that as well from
Wow.
early age. So she
Right.
kind of really firmly believed that it was going to heal me of any problems physically and psychologically, you know what I mean? Like
Wow.
for
She's
the
right.
rest of my life. Yeah, exactly. So she was really committed to this idea of me going to that school. And at first we lived not too far, so she would take me to the school. Maybe it was taking like 20 minutes, half an hour, which was fine.
Wow.
And then we moved away, and our school moved the opposite direction from where we moved. And
My
so
goodness.
then, and I was growing up, so around 10, 11 years old, I started traveling on my own. And I had to take a train, two trains underground, and 2 buses, and it was a 2-hour journey every day one way, and every day the other way. Which
Oh
which
my God.
I was using it well. I was doing my homework on the train,
You're
listening to
always a
music.
good girl, Ananda, always inspiring us, honestly. I just have to stop there and just really take a minute to think about that because wow. Nowadays, if my kids have to go back to school, I told Roman he has to go back to school on Monday, and he was like, I don't want to go. Like he had a million excuses because he's, you know, he, but the sacrifice that you took 2 hours there, 2 hours back so that you
Yeah,
could a value-based education. This is something that's so deeply missing in our lives today.
yeah,
Value-based education. We're also
exactly.
afraid of telling our kids of anything about the unknown, like why? But these are tools, these are absolutely essential tools for our future that
Yeah,
me and you can attest to that we are benefiting from to
exactly.
such a deep degree because of that value-based education, like spiritual practices and tools that we had. I feel almost invincible within myself, like the
Mm,
inner inner joy and peace that I get because of these practices. I just feel so heartbroken that other people cannot tap into it yet, that or they don't see the value of giving their children. So today I just want to share this point that your parents, thank you to your mom and dad,
thank
thank
you.
you,
Yes,
right? And
yeah,
thank you to
for
my parents. I just every time I think about it, I just have to close my eyes and send prayers to them because,
exactly. Yeah,
like again, we mentioned before, the fruits of bhakti, of a spiritual practice, we reap the rewards over time,
yeah.
but the sanskaras, those practices have to start early on in children, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm so grateful that your parents understood that and they they encouraged you to take this great
Yeah,
journey to school and understand how to actually live life. What is the point of
yeah,
it? How to get through it? How to get through the tough times? So yeah, I just had to take a minute there to really, if
for
anyone's
sure.
listening
Yes,
to this, and if anyone's feeling inspired to then, take up some tools, some practice, some spiritual practices really give bhakti the time that it needs, because the rewards are immense that we feel in life later on, when it really counts, when it gets difficult, when we have all the doubts and uncertainty and insecurities that cloud us later on. So thank you to your parents.
Thank
And,
you. Thank you to you,
right?
and definitely thank you to my parents for all of that, sticking through all of that, because it was a big challenge. It was a big sacrifice on their part, and especially on my mom's part, because she was the one taking me to school
Right,
all the time. And
right.
yeah, and it was definitely a big sacrifice, but because she had that unwavering faith that that was going to make a huge difference, it was going to
It
make
definitely is a
that
sacrifice on the
crucial.
part. Yeah, the parents have to do it. I was just reading the shloka the other day in the
Yeah,
Bhagavad, the fifth canto, where we talk about we shouldn't really, we shouldn't become parents. It says it's a very heavy shloka, right?
right,
Guru na satyat, janani na satyat. We shouldn't even become parents if we don't have what it takes to relieve our dependence from the cycle of birth and death. Like, this is
right.
really heavy. The shloka is really intense, but it just gives us a little perspective of what the duty of a parent really is. Of course, we should look after a child's needs, material needs, but everyone's doing that. Everyone is absolutely uh, caring. I mean, most people are covering those basics. We feed them, we shelter them, we give
Yeah,
them love. But the spiritual practice is also very much a part of our responsibility as parents, that we must be passing down to our children, because that's how we get through life. That's how we
yeah,
experience peace and joy. And if we're not giving them that, we're failing them. We're failing our children. And we're
yeah,
kind of almost guaranteeing that they're going to be incapacitated in some way of how to deal with life. Like, it's
yeah,
sad, but
yeah,
we have a part to play in it, right?
yeah.
Sorry. So before I keep rambling on.
No, I really love that point. I really love that point. And you, I'm so proud of you that you're taking that
Oh, I'm proud
on
of you.
in terms of in sharing it, in with your children, but also showing others, kind of in some way leading the way, showing others how it could be
Let's
done
get back to how
joyfully.
you were doing it. Let me just add to everyone that Ananda Monet has been doing. Recently, they opened up a YouTube channel. Well, we're kind of jumping around, but because we got to that point where Anjali, her daughter, is, they both do a YouTube kirtan channel for kids. It goes on every Sunday. Please, if you're a parent watching this and you feel like you need some support and some ideas on how to engage your children, please do check them out. What's it
Yeah,
called?
it's
The
called
channel?
Kids Kirtan Club on YouTube.
Kids Kirtan Club. And we have so many other friends. We've got Vrinda Kishori, who shares beautiful stories. We'll bring her on one day, hopefully. Right, Vrinda?
Yes, you should.
And
You must. Yes,
so there's
she's
so
great.
many resources out there for parents if you are interested in how to engage your children in these spiritual practices, and introduce them to bhakti and really give them that. There is help out there, and I just, we'll get back into that a little bit more later about how they do that. But after your upbringing in Russia, let's if you could share then, what happened in your teen years. I know briefly that you took a little hiatus, as did I, and then we come back to it. This is why sanskaras are so important, that when we're young, we may not appreciate what we're getting. The children might be a bit resentful. That's okay. They don't know. When you got a problem, you've got to take the medicine anyway.
Yeah,
It's okay. Not that we force it on the children, but very lovingly we show them the way, that even if when you falter and go around, we'll come back to it. I can
yeah,
speak from experience that when I matured and life really kicked in, I was like, oh yes, I know what to do in these situations. Sorry, so
yeah.
share the rest of your story, please.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted maybe before we go on, and maybe a bit later, there was a question on Instagram about that
Great.
this
Thank you for
value-based
sharing.
education is so important and should be pursued, but will it be too much on the children if we make them travel so far, and how to inspire them? I mean, I think my situation was unique about travel so far, and it doesn't maybe have to be always necessarily being in a specific place. You can do
Right.
it as a parent with your children at home. You don't have to travel anywhere. At
Right.
home. In my situation, it was necessary, but in your situation, it could be done even at home,
Very true.
maybe.
Thank you.
Or if you do travel, like I said, how I was doing it is, we were finding ways. I was doing homework on the way. I was doing, you know what I mean? I was utilizing that time, so
Yeah.
it wasn't
Everyone's
it wasn't a
circumstance.
wasted time.
Right, right. The point about the sacrifice was not that, oh, we should also travel 2 hours necessarily. It's just about be willing to give ourselves to the cause of a spiritual practice. Like be
Exactly.
willing to
Yeah.
make a little sacrifice. Okay, it might be on the weekend that you have to go to, Sunday school or a baby
Yeah.
sangha. In London, we have a lot of baby sanghas, and even in Leicester, where I am. So look for that. You might have to make that
Exactly.
extra little journey, little effort, but we have to prioritize it. If we don't, it's yeah, let's not go there.
Yeah, no, prioritizing, just making some effort, and not being worried about the
Yes,
some sacrifice, because it will pay
yes,
off. It will be beneficial. And yes, at some points, I can't say that I was always happy traveling or whatever. At some points it was tough, but now for me, what really stuck with me is not the
right.
um what's
That
the word? It's
hard
not the
sacrifice.
sacrifice. It's not that part. What stuck with me is all the knowledge I learned, and all the samskaras, all those things that I can remember, that were positive experiences that built my character, built my determination, built my
Right.
lifestyle, and are helping me now bring my children. I've got two kids,
Exactly. I love that
and
point. Yeah, that's a great point. That it's as a child we might think, oh my God, are we traumatizing them by giving them this thing that they want to do and they don't want to do it? No, but that's actually teaching them a little bit of self-discipline and inner strength, and that is our duty as parents, according to the Vedic system. That is actually one of the main things that a parent has to pass on in a very
mm,
positive way. How to look at self-discipline as a positive
right,
thing, as, oh, I'm going to gain from that, just like you described right now, that now you look back on that sacrifice as something positive.
yeah,
And I know you're a hardworking person, and I can see where that's coming from. If you have hardworking parents, when a child understands the value of hard work, so
mm,
that tapasya becomes a positive, and that is actually the role as parents, is to show
yeah,
that it's not something scary and negative, and why do I have to do this hard work? This is a major block that a lot of children have. That why do I have to do that? Why should no? I don't want to do that. So we have to
yeah, yeah,
show
yeah.
them the benefit of it. We have to. Sorry, it's already 2:30. We
Yes.
haven't gone through into your story. I keep talking too
Yeah,
much.
so back to the question that you had. I remember the question. You were saying what was next after school. So and I, as any kind of person that goes to school, then grows up, and in teenage years, especially in a country like Russia, you want to explore, you want to kind of be like, okay, this is what my parents wanted me to do. Now
Right.
I need to figure out what
I don't know
I
about
want to do.
that.
So yeah, so for it was I think it's a natural period in life, and uh, if we have those samskaras, if we give them to our children, we shouldn't be too worried about it. We should continue being a positive influence in their life, but we shouldn't be too worried.
Right.
And I went to college. I was studying music, and I went to uni, and studied communications and public relations and things like that. So I did a lot of studying, and obviously that took me kind of more into that education, and also into hanging out with the likes of me and things like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And I wasn't part of the temple life so much at the time, which gave me an opportunity
The
to think for myself, and then make a conscious choice for myself what is it that I want. And the way it happened, I met well, I met a person that I knew when I was little, who used to work with my mother, and then we were making music together. We were recording an album together, which my mom kind of reintroduced me to him. Singer, my mom was a singer, yes. So they used to have a band together and work on music. And then now so many years passed, and this person, he later became my mentor. His name is Medini Pati.
Yes.
Prabhu. So he started reintroducing these concepts, because we were recording an album, so we had a lot of time together, spending a lot of time together. He's and he's really, really knowledgeable and very passionate about this idea of sharing. So every break we had, every opportunity we had for a chat, he would always be kind of jumping on that opportunity. Okay, let's have some tea and have a chat. And so so he would reinvigorate all these concepts in me, again, in a very positive way, in a very positive kind of stream of thought of how I can improve, how I can control my mind. Or because at that time, when you're a student, you have a very kind of messy life and messy mindset. You're like, I don't know, I'm feeling lost or feeling confused, or where am I going to go next, or what should I do? He's like, oh, well, these practices will help you. This knowledge can help you like this. And so he shared a lot of kind of concepts that I knew, but reintroduced them to me. And it was incredible, because I knew all of that, but because it was now my older self was reconnecting with it. It was just like, wow, yes, I am now. This is something I want to commit to.
Yes, I totally relate to that. And it's two things come to mind when I hear that. One is the importance of community, like having other people in your life. It's one thing when you hear your parents that the job of the samskaras is done very early on, and then the parents have to take a back seat. Like then there's nothing you can do after the teenage years as parents. Srila Prabhupada explains, you can only train and really give the samskaras until maybe the age of 12. As soon as you're teenagers, you got to kind of step back a bit. Then the community kicks in. Then your uncles, people around you, we want to listen to other people, not our parents. Our parents are not cool
at that
anymore.
age, exactly. Yeah.
So I love that, the importance of community in our spiritual life and our spiritual journey. And I'm so grateful that you shared that, because I had a very similar experience of coming back to it when I also went off to college, tried to be like, well, I know better than this. My parents are old school. What do they really know about the real world?
Yeah, now I'll find a new way.
We start thinking we know better, but then it boils down to the same stuff. It's a cycle. That's why it's called a samsara. We do the same thing. We're chewing the chewed again and again and again.
Yeah.
And then you realize that. And you get older and you're like, oh, okay, actually, my parents did an amazing job. Then I come falling down at their lotus feet. But so that was a key step in my life, where I had to then find other peers or people in my society that were also inspiring me. So as people, we need to be inspiring each other as a community, not just our own children. How can we reach out to our friends' kids, and how to really connect with them on their page, not to be like, well, you need to be doing this, how dare you not do that. It's about, I love that you mentioned that Medini Pati Prabhu was engaging you in your music, which you liked, and then that way bringing you in, and that was beautiful. That's the exact way that it has to be done.
Yeah, you do it through things you and in the case of kids as well, you do it through through things that kids would enjoy, and same with teenagers, something that you would enjoy, you would connect with. And I was connecting with the music, and even though I wasn't so kind of deeply practicing myself at the time, I still had that urge to share. I wanted to record music that was meaningful and that was in some ways uplifting. So that was a kind of a turning point where I really thought, okay, now this is where I should become
This is
more
where I fit
serious,
in.
and should be yes, we should commit, and should be practicing myself and sharing something deeper.
I love it.
So yeah, so I'm
Such
very
a
grateful
powerful
to
point. Yeah,
yeah,
that turning point. Like even when I was talking in my last interview with Paduna Prabhu, it's him having any inspiring bhakti practitioner that I've come in touch with always has this moment, this turning point that you just spoke of where they decide this is real for me. I want to pursue this. And now, how do I give? Right? It always
yeah,
comes back to that. How do I fit in? What is my seva? We talk about the seva bhav, how do I serve? How do I give myself to this path,
yeah,
to the Supreme Person? How do I give myself to Krishna? That's the whole process of bhakti. Srila Prabhupada says bhakti is devotional life, like it's service, right? So how do we
yeah,
fit back into that? I love that you had that turning point, and by God, like in the time that I've known you, that has been your core service. That has been such a defining, service for you. So for those of you who don't know, Ananda does a lot of kirtan. She sings regularly all over the world for so many different audiences, and has really, transformed people's lives through kirtan and this spiritual meditation, meditative mantra music. So maybe we move on to that because we don't have much time left. I'm a little conscious of how fast time
yes,
goes here.
yeah. I just wanted to address another question we had, which was brings the topic of kirtan really nicely, and it was how to show children the benefit of kirtan. And I think, as we were saying before, the benefit of kirtan will come naturally when the children enjoy it, when the children see that it's enjoyable, it's something that the
Right.
family enjoys, that's something that the parents enjoy, and also something which I think I see you, Kishori, doing it very, very, very nicely, where they know you're enjoying it, you're loving it,
you do it,
and
yeah.
and they just join in, and it's a fun process in itself, and it has great benefits in terms of calming the mind, focusing. It helps them focus and helps them even in their studies. But I think you can't quite explain it at the age of 3, like in the question, it was in the age of 3. But you can. My son has just turned 3, and as soon as he hears any kind of instrument or he sees us singing along, he starts singing out of the top of our lungs, singing and dancing and banging the drum, and he enjoys it. And so it's just little by little. It doesn't have to be 24/7 singing from 3 years old, but by little, and and kirtan for me has been not just something I do to share, but also something I do to nourish myself. I like it's something when I get together with my friends or with my family to sing, and especially in the lockdown, it's been just us with the kids to sit down and sing and connect with that kind of energy of divine, with sacred sound vibration, but also just us together connecting with each other. It's just such a nourishing process, and it's nothing quite like that. Nothing quite like that.
So it is our sacred space. It's our safe zone. Whenever me and Ananda are doing kirtan together, it's literally like some of the best moments of our lives have been in kirtan together. And I think anyone who does kirtan will attest to that. Some of the closest relationships we've built, lifelong relationships. Any kirtaniya, anyone who does bhajan, anyone who does any bhakti practice, whether you're cutting vegetables in the kitchen or you're out on distribution, whatever you're doing together in the process of bhakti, it is so deeply it connects you in a way that you cannot feel in any other sphere. It's just it's real, and it's so joyful, and it lasts. It's enduring. It's not like, oh, well, today we're friends and then tomorrow we're talking badly about each other. It's not a material It's not a material connection. You can't really explain it. So bhakti is nourishing in so many ways. I love that you said that it's, it's also what we do for relaxing. It's also what we do just for fun. It's also just what we do in normal life. And just briefly about the kids that you mentioned, kids are not listening to what we're saying. They're watching what we're doing. And if I have 4 kids, you've got 2, you'll know that they hardly are listening to what you're saying at that age. They're watching what you're doing. They're learning through example. That's why we have to be acharya. Acharya is one who leads and shows by example. So if you're saying how to engage your child, it literally, there's only one answer, is by doing it with them. If you do it with them, they will understand the importance. You may say it's important and not do it. That's contradictory to a child. That will not last, right? So, sorry. What was moving on?
Moving on, yes.
So
No, it's a great point, and I think it's not just for a child; it's for any human being of any age.
Yeah,
I think that's a universal principle. I grew up around kirtan and seeing people really have joyful experiences in kirtan.
Yes.
Let alone like a transformational experience or whatever it is. No, it was joy. It was joy that you could feel, you could see, and you could feel, you could experience.
Yeah.
And actually the thing that was kind of inspiring me the most at the time of this kind of comeback in that period when I was trying to come back to it all is minutes of hearing kirtan, live kirtan, and really kind of reliving those moments in the childhood, and also living it again fresh.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just being
doesn't
in
take
kirtan.
Much. It's just like a little
No,
flicker.
it just it brings it all. It brings it all, and it's something you kind of start just you start thinking on a very heart level. It's not something your mind doesn't need to be. You don't need to reason. It's a heart. Right. It's a heart thing.
Devotion. Bhakti is devotion. It's a practice for the heart. It's not the mind chakra. It's there as well. The intellect goes so far. Krishna says jnana yoga. The mind can get us so far, but actually, it has to be the heart chakra. It has to be bhakti. It has to come from within, and you can feel it. That's where the joy comes from. The joy can't come from the mind. It has to come from the soul. It has to come from the heart. So that's a beautiful point. That you have to feel it. You must, and to feel it, you've got to do it. You've got to try it, right? It's like explaining to someone what honey tastes like, and they've never tasted it. You must try it to feel it. Yeah. Sorry. So if you don't mind, let's move on to the life now in the UK. So you grew up in Russia, and then you got married to Kapila Monet. He's our very dear friend, and you moved to England. And you guys are such a dynamic duo, covering all the bases across all the spheres in life. Kapila is involved with the manor in many different roles, and he's always helping whoever needs help. Everyone knows you can ask for help. And you're really involved with the Gurukul, where your children go at the manor. The Bhaktivedanta Manor in London has a Gurukul where your children study. Well, where he will join soon, Narottam. And also then you are part of the leading team in Kirtan London, which is a global Kirtan effort. And you guys do so many incredible different projects all over the board. There's no end to how many varieties of ways to express Kirtan all over to all kinds of audiences. It's so inspiring. So if you could share a little bit about how and what and why and how it's transformed over the years.
Sure. Yeah, so I moved to England about 10 years ago, and my kirtan life. They're coming to visit. Hi, Adi.
Hi. Yes, I am on live, please. Okay, I don't even have my phone. I'm using it.
Oh, they're all there now.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I was just saying that kirtan was something that really introduced me to everyone in this country, to all of my friends. I didn't know anyone when I moved here apart from my husband.
Sorry, I am listening.
But thanks to kirtan, I was going every Friday to Bhakti Manor, and the youth does little kirtan evenings there every Friday. So we were coming to that on Fridays and singing together, and people were encouraging me to sing as well and lead more. And that's how, so that's how I kind of got into that's how I got into this kind of field of leading even kirtan. I wasn't leading that much before, occasionally maybe for a festival or something. But now that was becoming something that we would do all the time. And it did another great thing for me is introduce me to all my friends now that I have. And also we developed a very close bond while we were in the process. And this project Kirtan London that you were mentioning came from different people in London that were inspired by kirtan, inspired by practice of kirtan, and wanted to share it in London to as many people as possible and create a community of kirtan London all around a community of kirtan lovers all around London. And my dear friend Janavi was involved in that team, and she invited me to participate. Yes, she started it all with a few others. And so then I just had my first child, and I couldn't contribute much time, but I was like, well, whenever I can, I'll join, I'll come, do whatever I can on the day. And that's been...
And I'm just going to shut the door. I'm listening.
Sure. Yeah, life with children, always unpredictable.
So sorry.
No problem.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, so and that's how I got involved in Kirtan London, and the goal of it is to share Kirtan as far as possible, and to make it accessible for everyone and relevant, no matter what faith you are, what culture, background, anything.
Because it's the Yuga Dharma. I love that. I love that it's because it's not just an Indian or a Hindu thing. Actually, kirtan is...
It can be for everyone and anyone. It's a universal language, like we were speaking earlier. It's something for the heart, not for the mind or any kind of designations that we might have. They don't matter in kirtan. So that concept that's there at the core of kirtan, it was really inspiring for all of us who are involved, and so we thought, okay, we'll just share kirtan for as many people as want to take it, and as want to connect with it. And we've actually found huge interest. We found that especially here in London, there's so many people that already somehow know about kirtan or heard. Yes,
we think sometimes of why would anyone be interested? But actually, the proof is in the pudding. Once you try it, you can understand it. And people, I love that this is what people are looking for. We're all looking for a deep heart connection that can give us peace and lasting joy. So it's what you're describing is just, it's in demand, whether we know it or not, whether we
exactly.
And, it's just the proof is in how many projects you guys are actually involved in. I know that Kirtan London keeps growing. We've gone from just doing small kirtan events to now retreats and global levels, like Kirtan Dubai, Kirtan Canada, Kirtan. What was it?
So we have family all around the world: Dubai and Vancouver and Sydney and Moscow and everywhere,
Kirtan.
And all the different major cities, and Kirtan Dubai, Kirtan Dublin as well here in England and outside. and people just get inspired by the concept, and they start doing it as well, and sharing kirtan in their part of the world. But here in London, for us, it's been quite a journey. Like you said, we get involved in all sorts of things, and we've been a part of Mind Body Spirit Festival, London Wellbeing now they call it.
These are huge expositions on the yoga scene and wellness and mindfulness and these kind of new age in the Western world, but really not new age for us. Like these are deeply rooted in the Vedic understanding of what the whole package entails: mind, body, spirit. That's a very ancient topic in our
very ancient topic that's very relevant always, but especially today. So we get involved in those, and we do retreats and small events and big events. But nowadays during lockdown, we've just been sharing online everything we can, doing lots of kirtans and wisdom sharing and things like that. So that's been kind of keeping us going, keeping us inspired.
We had in other big events that I have been to myself was the 50th anniversary last year that we celebrated with ISKCON Soho Street, Radha Landanishwar 50th anniversary of the temple. That was so incredible, and you were involved with the media and helping getting the word out there, and obviously and with the performances. So there's the point for me was that sometimes we feel like spiritual life might be a bit boring, and it means you just sit in a corner and like cut yourself off from people and activities. Maybe it just means going within and
renouncing everything.
But actually that's such a myth, because it's all encompassing. It takes over. It's just it basically, whatever you're doing, you just infuse it with bhakti and devotion, and kind of just, it's a perspective shift, it's not necessarily a change in lifestyle in one sense. You can if you already have a sattvic lifestyle, you just continue to do what you're doing, and literally it's just a mind shift, perspective. So I just wanted to touch on that how everything you're doing, whether you're a parent, whether you're a wife, whether you're a professional, you're doing media and whatever your job roles are, you've managed to put kirtan into it, and it's so amazing. You can share how you do that on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's life and soul. It's something that keeps me sane and keeps me inspired, and it's something that for me, it kind of something that I do, but also something that I try and just have have always with me, and have it always in my heart. So it's just somehow the lifestyle itself, the destiny itself has brought me into sharing kirtan and practicing it all the time. So it's great.
Again, going back to the idea that you had a desire to share kirtan, you had that right from the beginning, and you're in it. Yeah, you're in it.
There behind.
Getting really excited. And that desire is totally, it's a real connection with the Supreme. And I've noticed it so many times in people who have had that desire. It always manifests because it's a genuinely positive and a spiritual desire. I'm not saying that if you desire for $1 million, you might get it. That's not, but when we have a spiritual, desire to just connect with the Supreme, he always manifests it in some way. He always, it's really loud, sweetheart. Can you do another one? So thank you for sharing that, and going forward, that your kids are now, Anjali wants to do kirtan with you. That is so beautiful. Even Rama and my own kids, you can see that what we love to do around them, it rubs off, and they then love to do it. So if you want to share how.
Yeah, someone commented on YouTube. Pranjal was saying, kirtan is for everyone, regardless of color, gender, religion, and age.
Yes.
Which is such a
Hare Krishna. Thank you for your lovely comments. Yes.
such a
I'm still
good
learning how to
comment. Thank you so much for reinforcing that. It's definitely for everyone, and also for every circumstance in life. Like Kishori was saying earlier, this is how we relax, but also this is how we celebrate anything in life, birthdays and weddings and everything. And it's also something that helps us process mourning or any grief or sadness or any struggles. That's something that can be along with us,
anything.
and help us overcome anything.
Absolutely.
So yes, for everyone and for every circumstance in life, definitely.
I have to remind us that it's 2:56, so we got 4 minutes.
Time flies when you're having fun.
So if we could, that would be lovely. We want to hear Ananda's beautiful voice in kirtan. So if you could take us away for a few minutes, maybe 7 minutes. I'm gonna have to cut Instagram off in 3 minutes, but if you want to follow along, you can jump over to Facebook or YouTube. So thank you so much, Ananda. Take us away, and I will be saying we'll say goodbye while she's singing on Insta. I'll have to stop it before the hour to say that.
Yeah. Well, just wait for the countdown. It's gonna count you in.
Okay. She's a pro at this. I'm learning.
I'll start.
Thank you.
Can you hear it?
Yes. Please sing along. आप हमारे साथ दोहराइए, गाइएगा.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Sorry, join me in joining. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
Please sing along.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare.
Oh, I miss singing with you in kirtan
I
so much.
know. I just wish we were there in person together.
Yes, there's nothing like it. Please, if you're watching this, please take a minute out of your day to pick up some some japa. You could do any. There's so many different ways to express your heart and connect with the Supreme Person. There's so many different ways. So there's nothing like it, really. Just wanted to, that's the point of these conversations. So please join us every Saturday. We'll be discussing with different people. And a huge thank you to our wonderful guest today, Ananda Monet,
Thank
dear
you. Thank you
friend.
for having me.
Please follow her on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. She has her own page. And she's an incredible kirtaniya musician. She's got beautiful albums. The Inevitable Time is one of our favorite album, actually. If you look up Inevitable Time, where she's sung such an epic soundtrack with shlokas from the Bhagavad Gita. Okay, kya kare? So we've got 27 seconds remaining on the clock. So I'm going to take your leave. So much love to you all. Hare Krishna. Have a wonderful day and weekend. And
Have a good
see
day.
you soon.
Thank you so much.
Good
Bye-bye.
night.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. End video. Okay, we're doing this. And broadcast.